Have you ever wondered how professional golf simulator companies create those beautifully sleek and polished golf studios? Well, I built this luxury home golf simulator from scratch with just some basic DIY skills. And you can too. I'm about to explain one simple hack that will transform your home golf simulator into a stunning, professional looking studio. I'll tell you why it's so important to follow this industry secret and explain how to save money without sacrificing any quality. Looking back at my first attempt at building a DIY home golf simulator, it was a shambles. It was scruffy, untidy, small, cheap, you name it. But it got me hitting balls and working on my game from the comfort of my own home. But I've learned a hell of a lot in the last 5 years. And one of the most important things is how vital the mat is that you hit the ball off. The wrong hitting mat can give you inaccurate launch monitor data, and even worse, cause some significant injuries.
Don't buy a country club elite mat, because every single person that buys that mat ends up with elbow, shoulder, hand, or wrist issues.
So it's essential that you buy the right one and install it correctly. When I first started out, I had a cheap driving range mat that sat on top of my artificial turf. The issue with this was that the mat started sliding around after every shot, which was extremely annoying and frustrating, as I had to keep adjusting it and straightening it up, or else my whole alignment to the impact screen would be off. I did some research online and I read that some anti-slip carpet and rug grippers would do the trick, but it didn't. In fact, it was probably one of the biggest wastes of money I've had since owning a golf simulator. So don't do that. Instead, do this. The answer is to sink your hitting mat into your artificial turf or carpet, whatever you have underneath. But this can be tricky and it could potentially become very expensive if you don't do it properly. However, the way that I'm about to show you is so easy that anybody, and I mean anybody, can do this and achieve a beautiful, perfect, seamless transition from your artificial turf to your hitting mat. But first, you need to buy a hitting mat that is going to give you some reliable and accurate data from your launch monitor that's true to real life grass, and more importantly, isn't going to cause you any injuries. Now, my mat of choice is the T-Turf hitting mat from Golf Swing Systems. It isn't the cheapest as it comes as a larger stance mat, but I'm saving myself some money by cutting this mat into smaller strips. So when one wears out, I can just replace it with another. There's a link to this hitting mat in the description below, along with a discount code where you can get it 5% cheaper than the price advertised on the website. Now, once you've got the correct hitting mat, you need to sink it into something. And I've got this beautiful putting turf in my brand new setup. But it doesn't matter if you have any other type of turf or carpet. First of all, you'll need some foam gym mats underneath the turf to raise it up a little. Now, I got mine from Amazon, and again, I'll pop a link to them in the description below. So take your hitting mat, whether it's a full mat or just a strip, it doesn't matter. Place it in the center of your hitting area on top of your turf. And this bit's important. You've got to make sure that it's aligned, straight and centered. I invested in a laser level for my sim build, and I'm not going to lie, it's been worth its weight in gold. Okay, just for demo purposes, I'm going to show you in my small setup. I've got an old piece of turf that is like the carpet or the putting turf, and I've got my hitting strip. So once I've aligned everything centrally using my invaluable laser level, I'm going to take 4 small nails, right? I'll try and show you now. 4 little nails like this. They're not too big. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to put them in the corner of my hitting mat. I'm just going to tap them through and into the foam tiles that's underneath. Obviously, I've only got one here, it's for demo purposes, but in your setup, you would have foam tiles all over the show underneath your putting turf. So very carefully make sure I'm getting exactly on the corners. I mean, you don't need a hammer for this, but yeah, it's just a bit easier, isn't it? And we've got to be accurate. Okay, now all of those nails are pushed through and they're into my foam tiles underneath the putting turf. I can whip off the hitting mat now, put it to one side, and I'm going to roll back the putting turf. Then you're going to take a straight edge like this spirit level here, and I'm going to butt it up against those nails. But it's important I butt it up against the outside of the nails, and I'll tell you why in a little while. Then you take your Stanley knife and you score along that straight edge up to the nail. And then you do that for all of the sides. Again, along the outside of the nail. Very important. So you do this for all 4 sides. Then pull out the large piece where your hitting strip will sit, and you can get rid of that bit because you don't need it anymore. Then you can replace the putting turf into its original position, and then just double check again that it's all still aligned correctly. Now you should have an open space where your hitting mat is going to sit, and you should be able to see the foam tiles. So use your knife again to cut out the foam tiles inside this little empty area. Place the hitting strip or mat into the new gap and make sure that it fits correctly. If it's too small, which it shouldn't be, then just gradually score away at either the foam tiles or the turf until you have a nice flush fit. The mistake that I made was cutting along the inside of the nails, so the gap was smaller than the mat. So I had to score away and use some scissors at both the turf and the tiles. Once you've got the correct size, your hitting mat should fit nice and flush beautifully into your putting turf, and there you go, you have a beautiful professional finish for your hitting mat and your putting turf. Of course, one thing to measure out before you even attempt this is the thickness of your tiles and your hitting mat to make sure that it'll fit flush in the first place. Now let me know in the comments if you know of any other simpler way to install your hitting mat beautifully and professionally. But the hitting mat isn't the only part of your golf simulator setup that you need to change to make it look like a professional company have installed it. So watch these videos here to find out exactly what else you need to do.